Hi guys, how are you?
Great,
Good, how are
thank you.
you?
I'm doing great. So with a show like this, it's obviously thrillers are designed to keep us on the edge of our seats, but it truly is one of those shows that like every time something happened, I was like, wait, what time am I in? What's going on? Who is this character? I need to know everyone because I don't trust anybody. And so for you both, what was kind of the joy of getting to play these characters and explore something that is a real world problem, even though this is fictionalized, as like both I guess the perpetrator and the quote unquote victim or could be victim with her son.
Um, Gosh, Adrian was a fascinating character to get to play. Like I felt like I was constantly pulling back more and more layers of where she was coming from and what was her actual motivation underneath it all. I mean, she's definitely there as an antagonist in the story.
Mm-hmm.
She provokes so much of the story and what happens. So it was really important to, hit those marks to affect that kind of change. But then it was interesting to slowly work out what was in it for her. And that really was quite a journey. At first I very much thought it was power, but then somehow that rang hollow for me in the end. And it was much more about her past and the things that were absent in her life and the things that she couldn't feel or experience and her need to experience in them through other people.
Again, I think Teresa, I'm fascinated by Priya as a character just because she is like she does live in that kind of fear bubble, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of her actions are driven by her own fear. And so but she has her lighter moments, like especially that first time we meet her and she's in the water with her son and they're like laughing and
Yeah.
having a good time. As an actress, how do you kind of navigate those like ebbs and flows, as it were, of a character like that who is so motivated by her own fear, but is also trying to be as best of a parent she can be to her son?
I love the imperfectness of her. I just thought that was so like poetic. I was like, what a wonderful thing to put out there. Like you can hold all this trauma and you could be a shell of yourself and be completely shattered, yet she still finds that connection with her son. And I think that is so important to show on screen is that kids just bring out the joy in you, no matter how low you can feel, kids like bring out the spark. And I loved having those real moments, and it was great because that came really naturally for me and my young co-star Flynn, who played my son Billy. We would giggle and have these moments, and the director was like, it wasn't necessarily there on the page, but he was saying we need to feel like this is a really like rounded relationship between them, that there
Mm-hmm.
are these moments of lightness, and you need to be rooting for this character and you want to see that she's trying her hardest to be the best mum she can be. But of course she doesn't have anything to go by. She's just making it up, and she's isolated them, she's in a bit of a fear bubble, and this she gets triggered very easily. So then when we get to see them goofing around and having a laugh and being affectionate with each other, it's really heartwarming.
And Miranda, I do a lot of your scenes are with, as much as I love him and I love his work and I think he's great. Guy Pearce has that face that you're instantly like, yeah, this is a guy that I don't know what he's doing. And I don't trust that 100%. Like, no matter what, as much as I love him and I love his work, I'm like, I can't trust his face in 90% of the things I'm watching him in.
Do you think that's a conglomeration of the roles that he's played or
Yeah, it's
something?
for sure
Yeah.
just like growing
Oh,
up
it's
watching
him.
Guy Pearce movies that it's just like you're like, what's he about to do? But
Oh.
you guys kind of you mentioned power, but that kind of dynamic of like the who is in charge versus who is like, kind of disciplining the children, as it were,
Mhm.
in your storyline is so fascinating to kind of explore. And while you are a lot of the time separate because you are kind of like the leader and the power of that section, how did you approach the kind of the layers that go into that cult aspect and who talks to who and how it kind of functions as actors?
Adrienne is definitely someone who believes in outsourcing the dirty work. She keeps herself clean to as much as possible, and makes the aunties do a lot of the things that are really horrible. It's very clever of her to set it up that way. I think that was really intrinsic in the writing. I love the fact that, say, that the two aunties that we get to meet are such different characters, that they didn't become like a generic type of person. They're very different people. And that, you know, Adrienne's whole thing is about setting up this whole structure and community. Everything is based on structure and on transactions, and so she very much puts all these people in place to do these different roles. And, you know, Guy, who's playing Bryce, he's kind of higher up the line. He's like her second in charge. He doesn't, you know, he's the philosopher of the group in some ways. But it's the aunties who are down on the ground doing the really tough stuff.
Yeah, and Guy with a face that I just will never be able to trust. But for a quick last question, Teresa, I've watched a lot of your work. Same with you, Miranda. But you have, like, I watched The Choice way too many times for whatever reason, what was going on in the pandemic. But
Wow.
You have like an earnesty that you bring to all of your roles, and that no matter what the character is going through, it kind of exists within these characters. And it works extremely well in this series because that is how we understand exactly where all of the motivations are coming from. As an actor, when you are approaching a role such as this, that is so heavy at times, what is your favorite, like, kind of approach to a character in particular, especially one like this that has those darker levels to her?
I always use the word surrender. I surrender to being in the moment. So I do all the work and all the research, and I have a basic idea of how I'm playing a scene. And then when I'm in the moment with the actor, I surrender, I let go of all of it so that I could just breathe and be present. And as long as it's feeling grounded in the work that I've done, the research, the foundation that I've laid, or the backstory, then I know that I can just be moment to moment with someone, and every take is going to be so different, and we get to play and try things and be bold and be brave, and it's just really about your scene partner. And I think that that's probably something I've done more so in the later years of my career, where it's just about listening and being present. And then as long as you've done the work and you know the character well, hopefully it turns out well. And then it's up to the director to fine tune the performance and to find like the moments that work. And it's quite liberating in a sense, because you give it over to them, and as long as you feel good about what you're doing in the moment, then that's all you can really do as an actor.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for talking with me today. I can't wait for people to get to see the show. And I'm not being dramatic when I say I do love both of your work a lot. So
Thank
this
you
was great.
So much.
Thank
Really
you.
nice to
So
talk to you.
sweet. Thank
Nice
you.
seeing you guys.
Thank you.